Alright guys, Tottenham have just beaten Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park by 4 goals to 0. And I thought this was a game that Tottenham were going to struggle in, and I think, to be fair, they sort of did the first half. First half, Crystal Palace were the better side. Tottenham, they had a couple of chances early on, but after about the 25th minute, Palace just completely dominated and should have scored, really. They should have, at least got a goal with all that possession they had, all that time they had on the ball inside Tottenham's half. Like, there was a point in the first half where Tottenham just couldn't get out of the half. Like, the game was played in their half for a good 20 minutes, I'd say. So despite the fact that Tottenham won 4-0, the scoreline 100% flatters them in this game. They did well to be very clinical with their chances in the second half, with the goals by Kane, Doherty and Son. But I just felt as though it was still a poor performance in the first half, and it was just a case of Palace were not very good at finishing, or not very good at creating out and out chances, if that makes sense, because there have been a lot of games this season where, like, if Palace had scored 1 or 2 goals in the first half, we say, oh, it's same old Tottenham leaving it late again, and it's eventually going to come back and bite them. But the reason we're not saying that is Palace's finishing, or Palace's lack of clear-cut chances, as I've said. But they did come close to scoring on a couple of occasions in the first half. Jordan Ayew had a decent opportunity. Joachim Andersen had a long shot which was very close to just finding the corner of the net. So they did have, they did come close to scoring, but considering how much of the ball they had in dangerous areas, they didn't get enough shots off, didn't test Hugo Lloris enough, I don't think. And after half time, it seemed as though Conte had, given the Tottenham team a bit of a talking to, as he must have had done quite a lot recently. I think this was the first game in about 10 games where Tottenham didn't concede the first goal. And in the second half, they came out early and they got on top right from the off, to be fair to them. They got the opening goal of the game through Kane, brilliant cross by Perisic. Couldn't have asked for it to be in a better position. Harry Kane, right at the back post, and all he has to do is just about keep it on the right side of the post. And it's a fairly simple finish for someone who's, I think, approaching 200 Premier League goals in his 300th Premier League game. So you'd expect him to score that chance. And the second goal he scored, it was a good ball through by Bryan Hill, who, for me, had his best game in a Tottenham shirt that I've seen him have yet. He hasn't had many games in the Premier League, granted, but this is the best I've seen of him 100%. Because to me, he looks like a good technical player, but it's just, it doesn't look like a player who's suited to the Premier League, if that makes sense. But he played a good ball through to Harry Kane, and Kane, it was a wonderful finish. Perfect first touch and perfect finish as well, Ryan to the corner. And it is a finish that you do sort of associate with Harry Kane, being able to find the bottom corner in situations like that, and made it 2-0. And yeah, from there on, it was game done and dusted, really. There wasn't going to be any coming back from that for Palace, I didn't think anyway. And yeah, Tottenham in the end. I think from then on, because the 2 goals came very early in the half, within like the first 7 or 8 minutes. From then on, Tottenham allowed Palace to have, most of the possession. I don't think it was complete domination like at the end of the first half, but they still had a lot more of the ball compared to Tottenham. And Tottenham just hit them twice on the counter attack, really. Matt Doherty getting the first, a bit of a lucky deflection to make it fall to him, but he did well to find the corner. Guaita got a hand to it, and I think possibly he might feel as though he could have done a bit better with it, Guaita, given that he did get a touch to it, but I think that might be a little bit harsh, to be honest. I think some of the Palace defending in the second half left a lot to be desired. And the 4th goal, it was just poor from Mark Guay, to be honest. I still haven't worked out to pronounce his surname yet. I was thinking about it before the game. Is it Guay? Guay? That seems right, Guay. I'll go with that. Mark Guay. And Yeah, it was poor defending from him. He allowed Heung-Min Son to get to it, and Son just took a shot. He got a bit of luck, which he hasn't had this season, to be fair to him. Son took a deflection off Guay and went past Guay to make it 4-0. And yeah, that if it really wasn't done and dusted by that point, it was after that one. And yeah, they still have a couple of chances in the second half. Palace, Jordan Ayew came close once again. And Wilfried Zaha probably had their best chance of the game. Nice 1-2, I think it was, and Lloris did quite well to get down and save it, to be fair to him. But yeah, it's another game where Tottenham have won, but not really looked convincing in it. Well, I mean, it is their first win since the return of the Premier League, but I mean, what I mean is it's very similar to how they ended the first part of the Premier League season before the World Cup. And they do need to sort this out, because they can't continue like this and expect to finish in the top four, I don't think. Although right now, for the first time this season, it doesn't look as though there are lots of teams going for the top four that are in top form at the minute. Liverpool aren't looking great, Chelsea aren't looking great, Tottenham themselves aren't looking very good, and behind that, it's obviously the teams that you wouldn't really expect to be in the top four but are doing quite well, you know, like Brighton, Fulham, Brentford might be a bit of a stretch, but they're not too far away, to be fair to them. And then at the moment, Man United look the favourites to finish in top four spots. So yeah, but Spurs definitely need to improve. Crystal Palace, they just need to get more consistency, because they it's like you don't know what to expect from one game to the next. I don't think the Palace fans do, because after I think they had a fairly poor results in the first game back. I can't remember who they lost to. Might have been Fulham. Yeah, I think it was Fulham actually, 3-0 loss. And then in their last game, they beat Bournemouth and played quite well. So it's just, you know, they don't know what to expect really. But yeah, they could have scored in the first half, I think, in this game, and it could have been a different story from then on. And the pressure would have been heaped on Antonio Conte if it isn't already. But yeah, anyway, we'll get into some player ratings. We'll start with Crystal Palace. Vicente Guaita, I've given a 5. Yeah, I mean, he's conceded 4 goals. There's not really a lot of praise I can give him here. He was relatively untested in the first half by Tottenham. And then Nathaniel Klein, I've given a 6. I thought he had a solid all-round performance. Tottenham didn't really manage to achieve a lot down the left-hand side in this game. So yeah, I think he deserves a 6. Joachim Andersen, I've also given a 6. Really unlucky not to score a brilliant goal, and wasn't really at fault for any of the goals, I didn't think. Mark Guay, arguably the worst performer on the pitch today, didn't have a very good game at all. Largely at fault for the 4th goal, and maybe possibly could have done a little bit better with the first goal to and the second goal to get a bit tighter to Harry Kane in both instances actually. So yeah, he had quite a poor defensive game, which is quite rare because he is a good defender. And then at left back, Joel Ward, sort of filling in really for the suspended Tyrick Mitchell. Again, I know he's not really a consistent starter these days, and he was played a little bit out of position. He has played there before, but he is more suited to playing right back, obviously, being a right foot. There were times he just had the better of him. Brian Hill had the better of him. Which, I mean, given how Brian Hill has played for Tottenham throughout his Tottenham career, that's not a great look. So I've given him a 5. And then 2 deeper midfielders, Decore and Schlapp, I've given 6s because I thought that they played quite well. They controlled the midfields for the majority of the game. Decore broke up quite a few Tottenham potential attacks in the first half. So I think a 6 is fair for both of them. Elise, I've also given a 6. He had a few good moments out on the right, but couldn't really create anything great for Crystal Palace. And Eze I've given a 5 because he's a player I really like, but I thought he was far too quiet in this game. Didn't dominate his area of the pitch enough, if that makes sense. Didn't get on the ball enough. Zaha have given a 6. In the second half, he looked like the most likely to create something, and didn't have a bad game. But I think Crystal Palace's best player today was Jordan Ayew up front. I think you can maybe argue that in the first half, when he did have that shot and forced to save out of Hugo Lloris, he could have passed it to Michael Olise, who was maybe in a better position, but he did have a clear shot on goal, in fairness to him, and you never know if that pass to Olise is a little bit slow or a little bit too fast, the chance potentially goes. So maybe if he had passed it, we would be saying in hindsight he should have shot there, which he did, but it was unfortunate. It was a good save from Hugo Lloris. Then on to Tottenham. Hugo Lloris have given a 6. He made a couple of really good saves in this game. Maybe a 6 might be a bit harsh, but I'll go with a 6, because there weren't any spectacular saves, if that makes sense. They were saves you'd expect. It might be a bit harsh, that, but I felt in the last game I've rated him a bit highly against Aston Villa. I watched their first goal back again, and yeah, he was a bit at fault for that, actually. And then in defence, I've given Romero a 5. I just think ever since the World Cup started for Romero, he's looked a bit, I don't know, a little bit off the pace. I didn't think he had a great World Cup for Argentina, to be completely honest. It was all right, but it wasn't as good as I expected him to be. In the past few games for Tottenham, I think he's been a little bit poor, to be honest. And then Dyer and Longley have given 6s as well. They were quite key in Tottenham surviving the constant Palace bombardment of attacks in the first half, and second half they fairly good on the ball as well. So I think 6s is fair for them. Doherty have given a 7. Got up and down the pitch quite well. Gave a lot of energy to the game for Tottenham going forward, and got his goal as well. So he played quite well. And then the one I didn't think had a great game for Tottenham was Skip, especially in the first half. I thought there were times where he let the game go past him a little bit too easily, struggled to keep up with the pace of the game. But second half I thought he was better, but I've still given him a 5. That might be a bit harsh, but I'll stick with it. Højbjerg have given a 6. Again, you know what to expect from Højbjerg. He's an all-rounder in midfield, played quite well. Pacy have also given a 6 as well. Good cross for Kane's goal. And yeah, had an overall decent game. But then we go on to the front three. I've given Bryan Gil a 7. It's definitely the best I've seen him in a Tottenham shirt so far. Set up Kane's second goal to basically put the game beyond all doubt. And yeah, a performance that maybe shows that he does have something to offer for this Tottenham team. He probably won't be a starter when everyone's fit, but at least he's made himself look like he can be an option for Conte if he does need to rotate. Son I've given a 6. I just didn't think he was very involved once again. He did get his goal. There was a little bit of fortune to it, but then again he hasn't had much luck at all recently. But yeah, for his goal I've given him a 6. And then man of the match for me, Harry Kane, I've given an 8. He wasn't too involved in the first half, but in the second half, you know, taking the game by the scruff of the neck, scoring 2 goals, brilliant header for the first one, and an even better finish for the second one. And yeah, just looked a constant threat in that second half, whether it be on the counter attack or when Tottenham did have that 10 minutes of complete dominance at the start of the half. So yeah, he gets my man of the match in this game. But thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.